Good morning, I'm Charles Lejano. This is One News Now. President Rodrigo Duterte says he wants the government to shoulder the costs of COVID-19 vaccination for all Filipinos. He declared this during a televised address last night after meeting with COVID task force officials. To give us a rundown of the president's speech, we have Maricel Halili. She's reporting to us live from Mandaluyong. Good morning, Maricel. It seems the president has changed his mind since his previous statement that well-off Filipinos won't be getting any free vaccines because they can afford it anyway. Could you tell us more about this?
Yes, Charles, to be specific about it, during the speech of President Duterte last night, he mentioned that ideally the target of the government is to provide vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, for all 113 million Filipinos. But just the same, he mentioned that the priority of the government is to give anti-COVID vaccine to the poorest of the poor and for the soldiers and police officers.
The other good thing is that the president also mentioned that he already has the money to purchase these vaccines. Could you tell us exactly where he's getting this?
That's what he said last night, Charles. Well, as we all know, the passage of the 2021 budget is still pending in Congress and Senate. So it's very important for the legislators to pass it right away. But just the same, there is already the Bayanihan 2, and the government already assured that there is already an allotted budget for the vaccines. And as we all know, as mentioned by the Finance Secretary before, the sources of income includes the tax collection of the government and the dividends coming from the state-owned company. And of course, the president has repeatedly said before that he is very much willing to sell some of the government properties just to make sure that we have enough money for the COVID-19 response.
Right, talking about vaccines, Maricel, we know different countries are now racing to develop an effective vaccine against COVID-19. Did the president mention any preferences among the vaccine candidates that are now being developed?
You're right, Charles. Well, just like before, President Duterte gave his preference to Russia and China because, as we all know, we have a good relationship with Russia and China. And as he mentioned before, it is much easier to talk to the leaders of these two countries. That's why his preference is with those two countries.
Yes, Maricel, and at that same address last night, National Task Force Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez said that the gradual decrease in the daily number of new infections, of COVID infections, was caused by a certain change in people's behavior. What exactly did he mean by this?
Yes, he mentioned that last night, Charles. Secretary Galvez, being the chief implementer, observed that there's a change in the behavior of the Filipino people, meaning they now know how to follow the maximum protocols of the government, which includes the wearing of face masks, face shields, avoid talking in public. And he actually attributes this kind of behavior to the infomercial done by the government, the left and right information, and educating the people about the importance of of following the protocols.
Right. Lots of nice little tidbits from last night's session, but then we have the Health Secretary, Secretary Duque himself, also discussing the possibility of those contracting and recovering from the virus having developed a natural immunity against COVID-19. Could you tell us more?
Yes, actually, to borrow the term of Secretary Lorenzana, he mentioned that there's a herd of immunity in the country. Well, as Health Secretary Duque explained, we already have more or less 340,000 cases of COVID in the country, and probably one of the reasons why some of the experts are saying that some of the Filipino peoples who have already experienced COVID have already developed antibodies. But the thing is, there's still a need for further studies to know whether this antibodies is already a lifetime immunity or it will only last for a certain period. So we still have to wait for additional details coming from the studies of the experts.
Maricel, do we have any other important updates from the president and his task force officials? Charles,
I think it's good to take note the statement of the president about the destroying Shabu. He mentioned that he will give directives to Justice Secretary Minardo Guevara as well as the Solicitor General to coordinate with the Supreme Court and make sure that there's a fiscal in charge every time that there are confiscated Shabu coming from PDEA and the PNP to make sure that there's a confirmation. There will be a trial for 3 times to confirm if these confiscated materials are considered Shabu. Once confirmed within 24 hours, it should be destroyed as directed by the President.
Thank you, Maricel Halili, reporting live from Mandaluyong. We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Tropical depression Ofel is now over the West Philippine Sea after forcing hundreds of residents from Bicol region and Laguna to evacuate last night. Offel is likely to weaken into a low-pressure area within the next 24 hours. All tropical cyclone wind signals have been lifted. The tropical depression will continue moving westward today at 20 kilometers per hour. Still, moderate to heavy rainfall is expected in Aurora, while residents of Cagayan Valley, the Cordilleras, and the rest of Central Luzon will experience light and moderate to heavy rains due to the southwest monsoon. The NDRRMC is reporting that a total of 127 families were evacuated from 10 barangays in Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, and Sorsogon. No casualties have been recorded in the region so far. Over in Calamba, Laguna, families were also forced to evacuate in light of the relentless rain brought by TD Offel. Residents reported the rapid rise of floodwater as the tropical cyclone battered the region. Evacuees were brought to the covered court in Barangay Parian. The Anti-Terrorism Council has approved implementing rules and regulations of the Anti-Terror Law. The IRR will be published online within the week and in 2 newspapers of general circulation this weekend. Will take effect once it's been published and registered with the Office of the National Administrative Register by Friday. The Justice Department says the IRR will soon be distributed to government security forces. The law is still likely to take effect despite the 37 petitions currently pending before the Supreme Court, asking it to declare the anti-terror law null and void for being unconstitutional. The High Court has yet to schedule oral arguments on these challenges to the law's validity. This controversial law repeals the Human Security Act of 2007 and authorizes the detention of suspected terrorists for up to 24 days without any arrest warrant. It also allows the police or military to place suspected terrorists under surveillance for 60 days, with an allowable 30-day extension. The law likewise imposes a 12-year jail term for anyone who voluntarily or knowingly joins a terrorist organization. The PDEA admits it's facing challenges in complying with the President's order to immediately destroy illegal drugs seized in operations. Still, the agency is slated to start massive destruction operations today. To tell us how that's going, we have Romel Lopez. He's on the line, joining us from Cavite. Romel, what's happening over there?
Yes, Charles, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, or PDEA, is set to destroy about a ton of illegal drugs here in Trece Martires in Cavite this morning. This is in compliance with the President's order to destroy seized contraband within a week to avoid recycling by unscrupulous individuals. A total of 1.394 tons of drugs worth 6.25 billion pesos will be subjected to thermal decomposition as a part of the destruction procedure. Recall that the President ordered such destruction of confiscated drugs to avoid recycling of the said prohibited substance. He even tackled the issue last night with DILG Secretary Eduardo Año, saying he was pleased with the anti-drug agency, including the PNP's response to his call. In the PDEA budget hearing early this month, the issue of holding a massive inventory of seized contraband was also tackled. Senator Franklin Drilon pointed out that keeping such an inventory might pave way for drug recycling, thus they might want to get rid of it immediately. According to PDEA, there are at least 2.9 tons of illegal drugs in their inventory, amounting to a whopping 15.1 billion pesos. But the agency is still facing challenges in complying with the order of the president due to some purported legal impediments. Ongoing drug cases require the availability of the drug seizures from time to time as part of the evidence. Such legal technicalities cause delay for the destruction of the drugs as they needed to wait for court order before disposing the seized drugs. But PDEA says that they have already raised the matter before the Department of Justice. After today's destruction operation, PDEA's total inventory will be cut down to 1.5 tons. Another destruction will be scheduled next month. Charles?
Thank you, Romel Lopez, reporting live from 13 Martires in Cavite. Our favorite basketball league has returned. Catch the PBA Bubble Games live on TV5 every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and on One Sports and PBA Rush daily. Games are also seen live via Facebook and YouTube live stream, Radio 5, and Signal Play. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. And you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.